stop and start over or whatever. You're just telling me the story.
Yeah, I would have to say this winter was kind of exceptionally challenging, and we had a major event occur over the weekend. We wound up arguing late into the evening, and I kind of snapped. I don't know how else to describe it, but I wound up in a full panic attack, heart racing, sweating, on the verge of vomiting, and wound up having to medicate to be able to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I was expecting a normal day, that I was just slept it off and I'd be fine, and instead I was faced with not being able to move, not being able to get out of bed. That prompted a couple of weeks of really severe, I would say, depression. But on that particular weekend, I think that my snap, as I like to call it, pushed Colin into having to go into high gear and step in for all of the ways, be mom and dad. And when it didn't dissipate on Monday morning, when it was time for him to go to work, he had to make a decision and step up and figure out what we were going to do as a family when we have a mother who's not functioning. I basically came to the end of myself. I had been raising 3 small children for 10 years, essentially predominantly on my own because of Colin's work schedule, and just trying to do everything for everybody all the time. Friendships that were broken during those 10 years, family dynamics back home that added stress, family dynamics for your family back home too, the adoption process as our middle child is adopted and not knowing what that really entailed. All of it just accumulated into a big pop, and I realized I wasn't leaning on God to get me through. I was doing it completely on my own strength, and that needed to change.
It's tough going back to even to that place, but like at what I feel looking back at the series of events, it was chaotic. It was like, God had taken both of our lives and just created absolute chaos, and just destroyed everything. And it was a big challenge, for Amanda, but for me, from my perspective, it meant acknowledging that I had an idol, and it was something that I had really nurtured for a long time in terms of an addiction. I was addicted to work, all hours of the night, 60 plus hours a week, and it had a breaking point, obviously, in my marriage. So, the key point I'll make is that I don't think I would have realized that the damage that had occurred if I didn't have deep relationships through Netcast. There was some brutal honesty that took place, and ultimately, that's what drove me to realize, all right, I'm at the end of myself too. I gotta fix this. I love my wife, love my family. I don't want to be a statistic, because that's where things were going.
And we're parenting differently. We're parenting out of love and intentionality, and our marriage is doing so much better. We actually take time to talk, to connect, to do date nights, really recognizing that if our marriage isn't good, then nothing else in our family is really going to be